Well, today's New York Post cover tearing into the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer. The title of the front page, "They Don't Give a Chuck." Our next guests are reaching across the aisle to try to put an end to this gridlock. Let's bring in the co-chairs of the House Problem Solvers Caucus, Pennsylvania Republican Brian Fitzpatrick and New York Democrat Tom Suozzi. So federal employees at this point in the game are experiencing real hardship. Here's how the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, put it. Listen here.
World Kitchen, they're actually feeding government workers that haven't been paid yet. I mean, that's part of the absurdity here. I mean, it's like when you have World Kitchen feeding, government workers. I mean, that's the absurdity of this. And that's why, pay these people, open things up.
Congressman Suozzi, maybe you could start us off. Why can't Republicans and Democrats come together on this?
I think that most Democrats and Republicans want to open the government, and I actually think that most Democrats and a lot of Republicans want to do something about the affordability of health care. The problem is nobody trusts each other. And so Brian and I are trying to work to try and rebuild some of that trust to figure out how we can reopen the government and address this health care issue and other issues.
So, Congressman Fitzpatrick, what is the appetite there among the broader conference to try to come to some sort of an agreement here to get the government open and address some of these thorny issues?
Yeah, hopefully we're going to be meeting with a few of our Senate colleagues here in short order. John, number one, we have to get the government reopened. That's step one. We believe that's got to be through a clean CR. And then step two, address the affordability crisis, which includes health care and includes a lot of other issues that working class families are facing. But we believe that we need to do that when the government's open. That being said, we have to continue to talk to each other to get a resolution, because SNAP recipients are being impacted, WIC recipients are being impacted, air traffic control has been impacted, and a lot of people down here tend to paint themselves into political corners, and they need adults in the room to help get them out, and that's what we're trying to do here.
So the real core issue surrounding the shutdown of the government is these enhanced Obamacare tax credits. Democrats want to make them permanent. Republicans are saying, look, open the government and we'll talk about it. Here's the Senate Majority Leader John Thune.
All we need is 5 more Democrats, send it to the White House, it gets signed into law, the government reopens, the president sits down, and we talk about these health care issues the Democrats want to negotiate on. And it seems to be, at some point, the Democrats have to take yes for an answer.
So, Congressman Suozzi, if the Democrats really do want these enhanced tax credits to be extended, whether or not it's for a couple of years or 5 years or made permanent, why don't they take Thune up on his offer, open the government, and then have a negotiation about this?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I said earlier, is just nobody trusts each other. And so we really need to figure out how we can come to some sort of agreement as to what we need to do. I don't think we need to permanently extend the premium tax credits. I think we could do it for a couple of years. I think there's a deal to be made here. It's just people have got to talk to each other. The problem is you've got one side saying, hey, we're not talking until we reopen, and the other side saying, hey, talk to us now so we can at least believe that you're going to do something.
Congressman Fitzpatrick, let's pick up on what Congressman Suozzi said, because that offer was laid down. There was a bipartisan bill, and I know that Mike Lawler was a part of it, to say, okay, let's extend these tax credits for a year. Let's get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about it. Hakeem Jeffries basically said that's a joke. We're not going to go there. But Congressman Suozzi say maybe that's something that would work.
Well, John, that's our bill. Tom and I introduced that along with Jen Kiggins from Virginia. So, yes, of course we're supporters of that. My position on this, John, is no matter who's in the White House, no matter who's running Congress, we should never use federal employees as bargaining chips for policy disputes. We cannot do it under any circumstance. I don't think we should ever be allowed to shut down the government, just like I think we should never be allowed to violate or breach the debt ceiling. Those are two things that should always be off the table and never be used as bargaining chips.
And Congressman Suozzi, finish us off here on a completely different topic, because you've broken with the leader, you broke with the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. You're endorsing Andrew Cuomo for mayor. Why did you make that choice?
I'm a Democratic capitalist, not a Democratic socialist, and I'm endorsing Andrew Cuomo. I cannot possibly support somebody who says he declares he's a socialist. He says he wants to raise taxes in New York, which would be devastating to New York. He doesn't support a lot of different things that I think are very important for the state of New York and the country, so I couldn't possibly support him.
All right, well, we'll see what happens in the election on Tuesday. Congressman, thanks for joining us. It's really good to hear from reasonable people.
You bet. Thanks, John.
All right, thanks again.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.